Boom! Not a fairy tale, not a myth, not some ancient prophecy. This is loud, real-world chaos where numbers in bank accounts are basically characters with their own personalities. Welcome to the universe where 7 men, once squeezed into a tiny dorm room, lived off instant noodles, and now casually shake global markets just by breathing near a camera. Today, we're diving straight into one of the most explosive questions the internet can never stop arguing about. Who is the richest BTS member in 2025? No spoilers yet, don't panic, we're keeping the mystery tight. But let's be honest, the curiosity is insane. These guys didn't just get famous, they rewrote the script of what fame even means. They went from performing for small crowds to becoming a cultural superpower whose merch could probably fund a small nation. And just because they're in the middle of their military service doesn't mean the world suddenly stopped counting their money. If anything, it made people even more obsessed. Social media keeps throwing guesses like darts, financial analysts pretend they're astrologers, and fans somehow know more about HYBE stocks than people who actually work in finance. But calm down, we're not here to spill private details or make wild predictions. Everything we touch is based on career history, public achievements, and logical development of their individual work up to 2025. What makes this ranking so fun is that richest BTS member isn't even normal vocabulary. The scale is absurd. Even the bottom rank is still superhero-level wealth compared to any regular celebrity. And trust me, once we start climbing this list, your eyebrows will probably take a short vacation from your face. So buckle up. Imagine a hype documentary narrator who sounds like they just had 3 iced lattes, and get ready. We're starting from the bottom because in BTS terms, the bottom is still ridiculously, gloriously, unbelievably high. Number 7, Jungkook, the quiet millionaire who never stops surprising. When we talk about wealth inside BTS, putting Jungkook at number 7 almost sounds like a joke, because number 7 in BTS terms still means a level of wealth that could send any ordinary person into immediate emotional shutdown. But here we are, looking at the golden maknae, the youngest member of the group, the guy who was practically born with natural main character energy, sitting at the lowest rank in the 2025 financial lineup. The irony? Even in last place, he's still so rich that your calculator might start sweating. To understand Jungkook's placement, we need to zoom out and look at his journey from debut to the present. Jungkook isn't just another idol, he's the all-rounder prototype. Vocals? Check. Dancing? Check. Visuals? Double check. Ability to go viral by doing absolutely nothing? Triple check. But more importantly, Jungkook has always been the member who focuses purely on the art first and the business second. While Jungkook did earn a significant amount throughout the BTS group activities, album sales, concerts, merch, brand deals, his individual wealth truly skyrocketed only after he began his solo activities in 2023 and 2024. 7, Standing Next to You, and other solo releases didn't just chart well, they exploded globally. They dominated streaming platforms, created TikTok trends without Jungkook even trying, and turned him into one of the most internationally streamed Korean soloists in history. The royalties from that alone are enough to buy several luxury apartments in Seoul, probably with heated floors and smart mirrors that compliment you every morning. And then came Calvin Klein. The instant partnership blew up worldwide, not because Jungkook tried hard, but because he merely existed in those photos. That deal alone was believed to bring in jaw-dropping revenue. Still, despite all the success, his solo career only fully bloomed recently. Meanwhile, several of his older members had been planting seeds for nearly a decade. Members like RM, Suga, and J-Hope have extensive songwriting credits dating all the way back to BTS's early days. Every time one of those songs gets played on the radio, used in a show, restreamed by fans, or randomly blasted in a convenience store in the middle of nowhere, they earn royalties. Jungkook? He writes music too, but nowhere near the volume of those 3. Then there's the business factor. Some of the Hyungs have personal companies, large-scale brand collaborations, book royalties, investments in art collections, studio businesses, and a long list of songs they produced for other artists. Jungkook, on the other hand, tends to pick only a handful of projects, focusing on quality rather than quantity. In other words, he's the type who would perfect one song for months, while the older members might produce 5 songs, write for 2 artists, and sign a new business deal in the same time frame. And let's not forget HYBE's stocks. All 7 members received shares years ago, and the value of those shares fluctuates with the company's performance. While Jungkook benefits from that, again, he doesn't have the additional layers of diversified income some members built throughout the years. His biggest investments are known to be real estate, like his multi-million-dollar home in Itaewon, which became a hot topic online. But wealth growth through property is naturally slower compared to active income streams like music production and business ventures. Then came military service. From late 2023 into 2024-2025, Jungkook's activities paused, meaning his income came mainly from past work, streaming, royalties, long-term contracts, and investments. It's still a lot, but growth-wise, it's calmer. Meanwhile, the members with hundreds of songwriting credits continue earning passively from their entire discography. Some of those songs literally never stop streaming. Jungkook, being Jungkook, doesn't mind. He has always radiated the aura of someone who would say, "Money? Cool. But did you listen to this new melody I made at 3 a.m.? Sure, the Golden Maknae's net worth is massive. Think high-end cars, luxury real estate, major endorsements, and royalties pouring in from all corners of the world. But compared to the insane financial ecosystems his Haeyoungs have built, Jungkook's wealth is still the most straightforward. Music plus endorsements plus real estate. No secret businesses, no behind-the-scenes producing empire, no 50-page list of copyrighted songs that generate income every midnight. And that is why, in the cosmic universe of BTS wealth, Jungkook lands at number 7 in 2025, not because he's lacking, but because the bar set by the others is laughably, absurdly high. It's like comparing a high-end sports car to a rocket. The sports car is amazing, but the rocket still wins the race to the moon. What makes this ranking even funnier is the fact that if Jungkook were a solo artist from the start, he'd probably still be one of the richest young entertainers in Asia. But as part of BTS, he becomes the poorest rich guy, which honestly sounds like the plot twist of a comedy movie. And the best part? We all know his story isn't finished. Once he completes his service and returns to music, there's a high chance his numbers will skyrocket again, faster than he can say, "Let's get it." For now, though, number 7 belongs to Jungkook, the quiet millionaire who doesn't chase money, but somehow keeps attracting it anyway. Number 6. Jimin, the charmer who turned artistry into asset. When Jimin lands at number 6 in the 2025 ranking, it almost feels illegal. This is Jimin we're talking about, the man who can cause an economic ripple effect just by posting a selfie, the artist whose mere appearance at Paris Fashion Week instantly shuts down traffic on social media, the performer whose solo songs don't just chart, but actively break algorithms. And yet, in the grand cosmic scale of BTS wealth, he sits in 6th place. But before anyone panics, remember, 6th place in BTS is still wealthier than most celebrities on the continent. To understand why Jimin is here, we have to look at what he represents. A blend of artistry, branding power, emotional impact, and an unexpectedly strategic career path that bloomed intensely during the group's chapter of solo activities. Jimin's wealth is not like the producer line, Suga, RM, and J-Hope, whose income comes from hundreds of songs continuously generating royalties. Jimin is a different kind of powerhouse. He generates value through popularity-driven economics, brand deals, global influence, fashion relevance, and a massive amount of digital engagement that can't be measured traditionally. It's the kind of influence where one appearance, one gesture, or one teaser can send millions of fans into a purchasing frenzy. His power is precise, emotional, and beautifully chaotic. When he debuted his solo era in 2023 with Like Crazy, the world snapped. The song didn't just hit number 1 on Billboard Hot 100, it became the first Korean soloist in history to do so. That alone boosted his value as an individual artist. The streaming royalties skyrocketed, physical album sales went wild, and his reputation as a global soloist was cemented. But unlike the members who produce a long list of compositions year after year, Jimin's catalog is still naturally smaller. He's selective, meticulous, and introspective in crafting songs. Quality is his priority, even if it means fewer releases. That affects the long-term passive income comparisons, but also enhances his prestige. Fashion-wise, Jimin is a goldmine. Becoming a global ambassador for Dior and Tiffany & Co. wasn't just a title, it was a massive financial upgrade. These aren't ordinary brand deals, they're luxury partnerships that place him in the elite group of celebrities treated as global fashion icons. Every campaign he participates in becomes a full-scale global event with sold-out collections and instantaneous media buzz. Fashion houses don't just hire him, they orbit around him. But compared to other members who have diversified businesses, real estate empires, or production companies, Jimin remains more focused on performance and art. He didn't build a large-scale business infrastructure behind the scenes, at least not publicly, so his income stream is powerful but concentrated. Which brings us to endorsements. Jimin's influence is magnetic. When he was announced as a Tiffany ambassador, searches for the brand spiked worldwide. When he modeled for Dior, the outfit he wore sold out instantly. Even the pieces that weren't available yet still trended. Brands love him because he doesn't simply promote a product, he elevates it. His presence adds elegance, softness, passion, and intensity all at once. But again, these opportunities came in waves during the 2022-2024 era, while other members had more diversified financial engines running for a longer time. And then there's Hybe stock. Just like the others, Jimin owns shares that contribute significantly to his wealth. But how much that yields year to year depends heavily on market fluctuations and corporate performance, factors out of anyone's direct control. Jimin has investments too, including high-value real estate in Korea. These assets add stability and long-term growth. But compared to members with deeper or more varied portfolios, Jimin's financial strategy is more straightforward. Where Jimin truly shines, though, is in cultural and social value, the type of influence that can't be measured on paper. His emotional connection with fans is unparalleled. Jimin doesn't just release music, he releases experiences. He doesn't just perform, he transforms. This deep resonance boosts his long-term earning potential because fans follow him not out of habit, but out of genuine attachment. Still, as of 2025, during the military service period, his activities naturally slowed down. The absence of ongoing promotions means that endorsements pause, music releases pause, and active income temporarily steadies rather than climb. Meanwhile, the producer line members continue making royalties from songs they created years ago. Their money machine keeps running even while they sleep, or, in this case, while they serve. Jimin's passive income exists, but in smaller proportions. What's ironic is that Jimin being in 6th place says nothing about his personal influence. In fact, he might be one of the most influential Korean artists of his generation, an icon whose solo achievement is already record-breaking. But wealth ranking isn't about emotional impact, it's about numbers and diversification. And the members ranking above him simply have larger long-term financial engines powered by songwriting royalties, production credits, business ventures, or accumulated assets. But mark this, Jimin's story is far from over. Once he returns from the military and resumes his artistic journey, the fashion collaborations, the music releases, and the global appearances will almost certainly cause another financial explosion. People often say Jimin has Midas touch, but that's inaccurate. Midas turned things into gold when he touched them. Jimin does that without touching anything. He just appears, breathes, maybe smiles a little, and boom, economic phenomenon. So why number 6? Because the competition is unreal. Because BTS as a group operates in a different galaxy of earnings. And because even though Jimin is a superstar with unmatched emotional influence, others simply have more complex financial empires. Still, number 6 fits him in a poetic way. Just above the maknae, just below the business-heavy hungs, perfectly positioned as the elegant powerhouse whose value is destined to rise again. Jimin may not top the list today, but his presence is priceless. Number 6 belongs to the man who turns artistry into asset and feelings into global currency.
Number 5. Jin, the unexpected business king behind the worldwide handsome smile.
When the ranking hits number 5 and the name Jin appears, the entire mood shifts. Not because he's the eldest, not because he's the self-proclaimed worldwide handsome, though that title alone could probably be monetized, but because Jin's financial story is the quiet plot twist no one saw coming. He's the type of person who jokes about being broke, even though the reality is that his bank account could probably fund a small luxury island. And yes, there's irony in the fact that the guy who laughs the loudest is also the one whose investments are some of the smartest in the group. Many casual observers think Jin's wealth mainly comes from BTS activities, music, tours, albums, brand deals. And sure, that's a huge part of it, but if we stop there, we're missing the entire magic of how Jin climbed to number 5. His real advantage lies in a combination of early investments, business instincts, and income streams that grew steadily long before the solo era officially began. Let's start with one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle: HYB stock. Back in 2020, when HYB went public, each BTS member was gifted shares. All 7 of them benefited deeply, but Jin's early financial decisions before and after that moment played a crucial role in how those shares impacted his total net value. He has long been known for being financially savvy, not flashy, not reckless, but measured and clever. While other members poured their passion into producing music or collaborating with global brands, Jin quietly built an investment portfolio that grew with time. One of the most well-known examples is his real estate. Jin owns high-value properties in Seoul, including units in some of the most expensive neighborhoods in the country. These investments don't just sit there, they appreciate, and as the Korean luxury real estate market climbed, so did Jin's net worth. What makes this interesting is that Jin rarely talks about it. While some celebrities proudly flex their wealth, Jin prefers to flex his dad jokes and his fascination with cooking. Meanwhile, his assets do all the talking behind the scenes. But real estate is just one layer. Jin also stepped into the business world quite early, notably with his family-operated Japanese restaurant franchise in South Korea. Even though Jin doesn't actively manage it full-time, his involvement and ownership add a steady stream of additional income beyond the entertainment industry. These kinds of ventures are often overlooked by casual fans, but they matter a lot. But let's not pretend that being part of BTS doesn't play a gigantic role. Jin's voice, his presence, his iconic persona, everything about him contributed to the empire that BTS built. As a member, he participated in tours that generated hundreds of millions of dollars. He performed at sold-out stadiums, filmed countless ads, released music that charted globally, and became one of the most recognized faces in K-pop worldwide. And then came his solo era. The Astronaut, his first solo single released in 2022, became a global hit and expanded his musical identity beyond BTS. It wasn't just a song, it was an event. Fans across the world streamed, bought, and celebrated it intensely. The song brought in significant revenue, and even though he didn't release a full solo album before enlisting, that single alone solidified his potential as a profitable solo artist. But unlike Jungkook or Jimin, whose earning power skyrocketed through streaming and fashion, Jin's wealth was already fortified by structures built much earlier. His approach was slower, steadier, and less dependent on being hyperactive in the entertainment world. And this is precisely why his position in the wealth ranking often confuses people. How is Jin above Jungkook or Jimin when they had massive solo success? The answer lies in time and compounding value. Jin has been financially strategic for years. He made key decisions when he was younger, decisions that blossomed as BTS grew. He wasn't chasing brand deals, he was building long-term wealth. He wasn't sprinting, he was pacing himself. Then came the military service period starting in 2022, which paused his entertainment earnings but left his passive income completely untouched. Real estate? Still growing. Business investments? Still functioning. HYB stocks? Still active. Unlike members whose income depends heavily on active promotions, Jin's financial ecosystem didn't take a major hit during enlistment. It simply kept going. And let's not forget, Jin is a magnet for commercial opportunities. After completing his service in 2024, anticipation around his return surged globally. Brands lined up. Media followed him closely. His return ceremony at HYB was live-streamed and celebrated like the homecoming of a national hero. His worldwide handsome identity isn't just a meme, it's a branding asset. And in entertainment, branding equals money.
But beyond numbers, there is something uniquely Jin about his wealth story. He never chases spotlight aggressively. He never tries to overshadow anyone. He thrives in his own lane. He works with discipline, but lives with humor. His personality is disarmingly simple, yet his financial path is quietly brilliant. He reminds people that wealth isn't always built by flashy moves. It can also come from consistency, patience, and good timing. And perhaps that's why number 5 suits him perfectly. Not at the bottom, not at the top, but climbing steadily with a grin that says, "I told you I was worldwide handsome." The best part? Jin's story is entering a new phase. With his military service completed earlier than the others, he has a head start for solo projects, brand partnerships, and creative ventures in 2025 and beyond. His wealth ranking may stay stable or rise even higher depending on how he plays his cards next. So here he stands, Jin, the elegant surprise, the cheerful prince of BTS, the man who built a financial foundation as solid as his stage confidence. Number 5 belongs to him because wealth is not just about earning, it's about understanding how to grow what you earn. And Jin has? He mastered that quietly long before anyone noticed.
Number 4. RM, the mind of BTS who turned knowledge into net worth. Landing at number 4 is none other than RM, the leader whose brain power is so legendary that people joke his IQ probably earns royalties. But behind the memes, the philosophical captions, and the poetic lyrics that could make a rock cry lies a surprising truth. RM's financial empire in 2025 is one of the most diverse, intellectual, and quietly powerful among all BTS members. If Jungkook represents artistic instinct, Jimin represents emotional influence, and Jin represents strategic timing, RM embodies something else entirely, the power of ideas, and the wealth that emerges when ideas turn into art, leadership, and long-term investments. Let's start with the role that shaped his identity, BTS's leader. Being the leader doesn't automatically translate to money, but it does translate to responsibility, direction, and creative influence. RM has songwriting and producing credits that stretch across the entire BTS discography like a never-ending ribbon of brilliance. From introspective B-sides to explosive title tracks, RM has written lyrics and melodies that fueled the global dominance of BTS. And these credits are not just symbolic, they are financial engines. Every stream, every concert performance, every appearance in media brings residual income. Multiply that by over a decade of music history, chart success, and global recognition, and you get one of the most profitable catalogs among any K-pop artist in history. This alone places him firmly near the top. But RM didn't stop at music. His intellectual curiosity led him to build a deep connection with visual art, resulting in one of the most publicly visible and influential art collections owned by a Korean celebrity. RM isn't someone who buys art for decoration. He buys art because he genuinely loves history, culture, and storytelling through objects. And here's the twist. That passion became an unexpected financial advantage. Art pieces by renowned Korean and international artists naturally increase in value. What RM spent years acquiring has appreciated, transforming his home, and sometimes museum halls he loans pieces to, into a quietly growing vault of cultural and financial value. It's not just an aesthetic hobby, it's an investment portfolio disguised as a personality trait. Then there's the fact that RM's solo music has its own fanbase. His mixtapes were already beloved, but his official solo album, Indigo, elevated him into a different league. Not only did it chart globally, but it also secured collaborations with respected musicians and producers worldwide. Indigo didn't explode in the same viral way that Jungkook's singles did, but RM's music has a longer shelf life, intellectual, emotional, and timeless. This kind of music attracts long-term listeners rather than quick trend chasers, and long-term listeners bring long-term royalties. Anyone who has spent an afternoon lost in RM's discography knows his music isn't built for hype, it's built for reflection, which ironically makes it an incredibly stable source of passive income.
But what really pushes RM into the upper half of the ranking is his consistent work as a songwriter and producer for other artists. While the world was busy watching BTS grow, RM was secretly, okay, not that secretly, writing for artists across genres. These behind-the-scenes contributions accumulate revenue over time. Even songs that weren't mainstream hits still bring income through smaller streams, radio play, and licensing. That's the beauty of being a prolific creative. Your work makes money even while you're asleep. Now let's talk about investments. RM is known to be financially smart, not flashy. He avoids unnecessary extravagance, preferring calm environments, bookstores, art galleries, and nature walks. But he does invest. He owns prime Seoul real estate, which appreciates steadily in Korea's ultra-competitive housing market. He also benefits significantly from HYBE stock, just like the other members. Unlike some who treat stocks like collectibles, RM keeps his holdings stable, allowing them to mature. This maturity, combined with the company's global expansion, adds a strong corporate backbone to his personal wealth. RM's introspective minimalist lifestyle further amplifies how efficient his wealth accumulation is. While other members sometimes lean into luxury brands or fashion endorsements, RM rarely participates in that space. Brands absolutely want him, but RM chooses selectively. His fashion identity is based on comfort and sincerity, not commercial obligation. The irony? That makes him even more appealing. A brand deal from RM is not just an advertisement, it's a stamp of authenticity. When he does choose to collaborate, the impact is enormous. But because he doesn't chase endorsements, his income comes from stable, intellectual, and creative sources, not flashy ones. During military service, RM's financial ecosystem continued functioning almost automatically. His music catalog didn't pause, his investments didn't freeze, his art collection didn't suddenly lose value. His role as a songwriter means income flows even without active promotion. And because his wealth comes from so many sources, he maintains momentum even in periods of low public activity. So, why number 4? Because RM has incredible breadth, but slightly less explosive individual commercial influence compared to the members ranked above him. His earnings are strong, steady, cultivated, and deeply rooted in intellectual and creative labor. But he does not pursue mass commercial branding, nor produce high-volume pop music intended for global virality. His approach is quality over quantity, depth over noise. Financially, this means extremely stable growth, just not the kind that suddenly spikes overnight. Still, RM's position is nothing short of extraordinary. He is the architect of countless iconic BTS songs, the steward of an art collection future scholars will likely study, and a cultural figure whose words carry value far beyond currency. If money follows meaning, RM is destined to keep rising. Number 4 suits him perfectly, a symbol of a leader whose wealth isn't just measured in dollars, but in ideas that continue to shape the world.
Number 3. J-Hope, the sunshine with a financial engine you should never underestimate. Seeing J-Hope land at number 3 in the 2025 Richest BTS member ranking feels both surprising and not surprising at all. On one hand, he's the group's bright, cheerful, dance machine sunshine, the guy you'd expect to spend more time thinking about choreography than cash flow. On the other hand, well, this man quietly built a financial empire so sturdy, so diverse, and so brilliantly timed that even seasoned investors would look at his portfolio and go, "Wait, he did all that?" J-Hope is one of the clearest examples of a BTS member whose wealth wasn't just earned, but engineered. He didn't simply get rich because BTS is massive. He became rich because he made smart moves early, established his identity as a producer and performer long before the group hit global domination, and understood the power of expanding his artistry beyond the main group. The result? A financial trajectory that exploded upward long before most people were watching closely. Let's start with something people often forget. J-Hope was producing music even before BTS became a worldwide phenomenon. His songwriting and producing credits stretch way back into early BTS albums, and unlike some members whose producer roles developed later, Hobi was involved from the very beginning. That means more time for royalties to accumulate.
Each early BTS song, and there were many, contributed to a foundation that would grow exponentially as the group ascended into superstardom. Royalties from albums, concerts, licensing, streaming, variety appearances, all of that adds up significantly when you're consistently credited as a creator. And J-Hope isn't just a casual writer, he's a prolific one. Many fans know him as the dance leader, but the reality is that he is also part of the producer line trio, along with RM and Suga, the financial powerhouses of BTS thanks to their expansive music catalogs. J-Hope's catalog contains songs he wrote for BTS, songs he wrote for other artists, and songs he produced for his own solo projects. But the moment everything changed, the moment J-Hope truly shifted from successful artist to financial superweapon, was the release of his 2018 mixtape, Hope World. The impact of Hope World cannot be overstated. It didn't just chart worldwide, it turned him into a household name for fans who hadn't even followed BTS before. It solidified him as a solo artist with an identity strong enough to stand next to the group's name. And most importantly, it began a revenue stream that continues to this day. Songs like Daydream and Airplane have longevity. They don't fade with trends. They keep getting streamed, and streaming equals royalties. Then came 2022 when he released Jack in the Box, his first official solo album. The album was critically acclaimed, bold, artistic, experimental, and confident. It showed the world that J-Hope wasn't just the happy-go-lucky member, he was a deep, complex musician with a distinct voice. More and Arson became global hits. The album sparked festivals, collaborations, performances, and endless discussions online. When J-Hope became the first BTS member to headline Lollapalooza, it wasn't just history, it was money. The performance boosted sales, boosted streams, boosted demand for his brand, and proved his global star power outside the framework of BTS. This single milestone elevated his value in the industry dramatically. In parallel, Hobie began cultivating one of the most stable sources of wealth for any artist, brand partnerships. Unlike members known heavily for fashion, J-Hope's brand influence is balanced, fashionable enough to be stylish, approachable enough to feel relatable, artistic enough to attract luxury attention, and globally recognizable enough to influence sales instantly. His deals with Louis Vuitton and other brands contributed massively to his net worth, not only in direct pay, but in global exposure. What people often underestimate is how long J-Hope has been building his own identity. He dances, he raps, he writes, he produces, he performs, he collaborates, he curates. His influence moves through multiple spaces, and each space generates money. But one of the biggest pieces of his wealth puzzle is something truly iconic, his real estate game. J-Hope owns one of the most expensive luxury apartments in Seoul, located in the same building as other elite celebrities. And he didn't just buy it, he bought it in cash, a detail that went viral at the time. This wasn't just a flex, it was a brilliant investment move. Property in that area appreciates fast, and by 2025, the value of his unit had increased significantly. Then there's the fact that J-Hope was always known privately as one of the most financially responsible members. He saves, he invests, he doesn't go on extravagant shopping sprees or collect supercars or flaunt random luxuries. His money grows because he's disciplined. And then, of course, like all members, he benefits from Hybe stock, which adds another layer of corporate value to his wealth. But even beyond all these practical details, J-Hope's position in the ranking is boosted by a factor no one should ignore: his consistency. He didn't suddenly become successful during the solo era. He's been working steadily, building steadily, earning steadily for a decade. While some members' net worth skyrocketed due to explosive solo popularity or high fashion dominance, J-Hope's net worth grew like a tree, rooted early, watered constantly, and impossible to shake. His impact did not dip during military enlistment either. His previous works kept generating revenue, and his brand deals remained intact. His influence stayed strong in global markets. Even while away, he maintained one of the most stable passive income ecosystems in BTS. So why number 3? Because J-Hope is not only wealthy, he is consistently wealthy, with diversified income streams, a massive music catalog, strong brand value, and smart long-term investments. He has fewer commercial explosions than some members, but more stability than almost everyone. His financial rise wasn't sudden, it was engineered, carefully, quietly, efficiently. And the best part, J-Hope does all of this while staying humble, cheerful, generous, and supportive. He is the sunshine who built a financial fortress while dancing his way through life with a smile. Number 3 belongs to him because you simply cannot underestimate a man whose talent, discipline, creativity, and business instincts shine as brightly as his personality. In the end, J-Hope's wealth is a reflection of who he is: bright, steady, powerful, and built to last. Number 2. Suga, the genius producer whose royalty empire never sleeps. At number 2 stands a man who doesn't just make music, he manufactures wealth, legacy, and impact with the same quiet precision he uses to adjust sound levels in a studio at 3 a.m. Yes, we're talking about Suga, also known as August D, also known as the man whose laptop is probably worth more than a luxury car purely because of the files inside it. If BTS were a kingdom, Suga would be the royal treasurer, not because he wants to hoard gold, but because gold naturally piles up wherever he walks. His entire financial story is built on one unstoppable engine: creation. While other members may shine on stage, dominate fashion houses, or take over social media with viral selfies, Suga builds something different, something that multiplies itself whether he's awake, asleep, performing, traveling, or even serving in the military. His wealth is powered by royalties, and royalties are the closest thing to legal magic in the entertainment world. They grow without much input, accumulate endlessly, and do not care whether you're active or on hiatus. For Suga, royalties are not just income, they are an empire. Let's break down why he stands this high in the ranking. First, Suga isn't just a rapper or performer, he is one of the most prolific producers in Korean entertainment. His songwriting and producing credits extend far beyond BTS. He writes for himself, for the group, for other K-pop artists, for global musicians, and for massive commercial projects. Each song he produces becomes a seed. Each seed grows into a financial tree. And when you've been planting seeds since your teenage years, you eventually end up with a forest. Suga's catalog is enormous. BTS hits? He's there. B-sides? There too. Entire mixtapes with millions of streams? Present. Features with international artists? Check. Production credits that quietly circulate behind the scenes? Absolutely. The money from these projects flows continuously, creating a wealth ecosystem unlike any other member except RM, and in some ways, perhaps even stronger. But what truly sets Suga apart is not just the quantity of his work, but the impact of it. When Suga releases music, it isn't just popular, it becomes a cultural conversation. His August D projects, starting in 2016, shaped him into a global solo act years before the rest of BTS launched their official solo eras. August D, D2, and D-Day didn't just chart, they built a solid foundation of loyal listeners who follow him whether he's doing K-pop, hip-hop, trap, or introspective ballad hybrids that feel like therapy sessions set to music. Haegum, People Part 2, Dachita, these tracks were not just hits, they were global phenomena. The music videos alone accumulated hundreds of millions of views, and Suga's ability to move between fierce and vulnerable storytelling created an identity strong enough to stand independently of BTS. Every stream, every purchase, every replay at a concert brings in revenue, and when he toured as August D during the D-Day tour, he became the first BTS member to complete a full solo world tour, filling arenas with tens of thousands of fans. The merch, ticket sales, streaming boosts, and brand value from this tour were enormous. Combine that with his popularity and endorsements, Suga became an ambassador for Valentino and later for the NBA, giving him access to high-profile, high-paying global partnerships. Brands love him because he represents sophistication, authenticity, and artistry. He isn't trying to be flashy, he is naturally influential, and influence equals value. But one of the strongest pillars of Suga's wealth is also one of the least talked about, his business establishment, Genius Lab. While it operates as a creative studio rather than a public corporation, Genius Labs symbolizes Suga's long-term architectural thinking. This space is where he composes, produces, collaborates, and consults, essentially where the royalty empire gets built. His producer identity isn't just a part of his career, it is his career. Even if BTS had never risen to global superstardom, Suga would have likely become a highly successful producer in Korea. But because BTS did rise, his reach expanded beyond anything a domestic producer could dream of. He became a global creative force. His work touches multiple genres, languages, and industries, and all of it pays. This is also why the military hiatus did not slow him down financially. Unlike performers whose income depends on activity, a producer's income continues naturally. His entire catalog keeps earning, his songs keep charting, his writing credits keep paying out. Even people who don't know Suga by name are humming music he created. This is passive income on a colossal scale. And then, of course, there are HYBE shares. Suga's stock holdings have grown significantly over the years, especially as HYBE expanded globally, acquiring labels, launching groups, and developing new intellectual properties. This corporate layer adds another stable foundation to his wealth. On top of all that, Suga is also a known philanthropist, donating to medical causes, education, and global relief efforts. While this doesn't directly influence rankings, it reflects his character. He never flaunts wealth, he uses it meaningfully. Yet, ironically, this humility makes him even more respected, and respect in the entertainment world is its own form of currency. So, why number 2? Because Suga is a producer first, and producers have unlimited wealth potential. His catalog is massive, his influence is deep, his touring ability is proven, his brand value continues to grow, and unlike many entertainers, he is not dependent on a single career lane. His creativity circulates across industries. If music is the bloodstream of BTS, Suga is the pulse. He doesn't need to chase virality, he doesn't need to chase brand dominance. He creates, and creation pays forever. That is why Suga stands at number 2, the quiet genius whose financial empire runs on songs that will likely outlive all of us.
Number 1. V, the icon who turned stardom into a luxury empire. Here we are, at the very top of the mountain, the summit of the financial Olympus of BTS, the place where the air is thin and the numbers stop making sense. And sitting comfortably at number 1 of the richest BTS members in 2025 is none other than V, Kim Taehyung, the man whose face alone could probably pay off someone's mortgage, whose aura has brand executives flying across continents, and whose name causes luxury fashion houses to whisper like they're discussing an ancient artifact of cultural power. If BTS members were planets, V would be Jupiter, not just big, but gravitational. Brands orbit around him, trends orbit around him, entire demographic groups orbit around him, and all of that translates into something very real in the entertainment industry: money, influence, and long-term financial dominance. But what makes Taehyung number 1 is not simply popularity, it's the unique combination of luxury branding, global desirability, music impact, artistic versatility, strategic partnerships, visual dominance, and personal brand stability that no other member replicates in the same way. Let's break down the empire. First, V's connection with luxury fashion is on a level that even global celebrities envy. When he became the ambassador for Celine and later Cartier, the fashion world didn't just applaud, they combusted. Celine's sales in key markets spiked, the brand searches skyrocketed worldwide, and every outfit Taehyung touched instantly became sold out, pre-order extended, or out of stock across all regions. Cartier saw the same effect. The Panther campaign featuring V wasn't just successful, it was historic. His presence changed their social media engagement, increased their market penetration in younger demographics, and triggered one of the most effective prestige rebrandings in the 2020s. What makes Taehyung different from other ambassadors is his ability to blend luxury with emotion. When he wears a brand, it doesn't look like a photo shoot, it looks like a cinematic moment.
You don't just want the product, you want the feeling of being taehyung for 3 seconds. That's a level of commercial power reserved for the world's top icons, actors like Timothée Chalamet, global models, or the highest-tier K-pop elites. And luxury houses pay big for that level of influence. His contract values are estimated to be among the highest in Korea, possibly among the highest in Asia. But that's just the surface. Taehyung's artistic identity is wide. His baritone voice, his jazz R&B leanings, his incomparable stage charisma, these qualities create a unique lane in the industry. When he released Layover in 2023, it wasn't meant to be a commercial bomb, it was an aesthetic film disguised as an album. And yet, it charted globally, sold incredibly well, and generated massive streaming revenue. His tracks didn't follow trends, they created moods. Love Me Again, Rainy Days, Slow Dancing. These songs weren't loud, they were smooth, nostalgic, dreamy, quietly addictive. And quiet addiction is financially potent. People replay songs like these for years, not weeks. That means long-wave royalty income. Add that to his performance revenue with BTS, which is already astronomical, and suddenly Taehyung's earnings stack faster than most celebrities can dream of. But the real acceleration of his wealth comes from something often overlooked, his universal appeal across markets. Taehyung is one of the most followed K-pop male idols in the world. He consistently ranks at the top of social engagement charts, brand reputation indexes, beauty indexes, and global search trends. His face, his voice, his fashion, his mannerisms, they all create marketing gold. And marketing gold equals massive endorsement fees. Taehyung's personal brand is so valuable that even when he does nothing, no new music, no new campaign, no new appearance, his name trends globally. This level of passive influence is extremely rare, even for celebrities. For companies, this is a jackpot. For V's bank account, this is a daily workout. Now let's talk about something fans love to mention, Taehyung's acting potential. Even though he hasn't stepped into major acting roles in recent years, the industry eagerly awaits his return. Directors want him, producers want him, streaming platforms want him, and the offers? We're talking premium tier. If and when he takes on a major project, the paycheck will be at a scale reserved for top-tier Korean actors. But even without acting, his wealth is bolstered by real estate investments. His properties in Korea are among the most luxurious owned by BTS members, prime locations, high value, and consistently appreciating. Add HYBE stock on top of that, which he received alongside other members, and his long-term corporate asset value is solid. But the biggest secret to Taehyung's position at number 1 is not only the money he earns, it's the money he attracts. Brands compete for him, media competes for him, fans invest heavily in his work. His impact on global consumer behavior is unlike any other BTS member, organic, emotional, aspirational, and cross-demographic. And even during mandatory military service, his popularity barely dipped. His content still trends, his campaigns still sell, his fan engagement remains unmatched. That means his brand retains full commercial power despite inactivity, a phenomenon extremely few celebrities can achieve. Taehyung's financial empire is built not on one pillar, but on many: music, fashion, luxury partnerships, real estate, art, visibility, organic influence, and long-term assets. While Suga dominates production royalties, RM dominates intellectual assets, and J-Hope dominates consistency. Taehyung dominates commercial desirability. And commercial desirability is the most valuable currency in entertainment. That's why in 2025, the throne belongs to him. V, the icon who merged luxury, artistry, and global influence into one unstoppable economic force. His wealth is not loud, it's elegant. Not brash, it's curated. Not chaotic, it's cinematic. Number 1 suits him perfectly, not because he chased it, but because the world placed him there. 7 paths, 1 legacy, and the story isn't over yet. And just like that, we've reached the end of this wild climb through the financial constellation of BTS.
7 members, 7 different stories, 7 different engines powering 7 incredibly unique careers, and one unforgettable truth. No matter where they fall on the ranking, every single one of them exists on a level so far above normal celebrity wealth that comparing them to anyone outside BTS feels like comparing a smartphone to a spaceship. Jungkook with his global streaming domination, Jimin with his emotional brand power and fashion impact, Jin with his quiet investments and king-like timing, RM with his intellectual royalties and art-driven empire, J-Hope with his consistency, discipline, and producer longevity, Suga with his royalty fortress and genius-level income streams, and V with his absolute commercial dominance, luxury partnerships, and global aura that practically prints money on its own. Together, they form something the entertainment world may not see again for decades, a group where every member could realistically become a top-tier soloist, a top-tier creative director, a top-tier brand ambassador, or a top-tier entrepreneur. Their wealth doesn't divide them, it reflects the different shapes their talent takes. And if we're being honest, this isn't even the peak. The military hiatus is only a pause button, not the ending credits. The moment 2025 turns into 2026 and enlistment ends, every single one of these men will launch forward like rockets that have been quietly charging in the background. More albums, more tours, more brand partnerships, more artistic experiments, more everything. The ranking could flip, the numbers could double, the fandom might crash the internet again. And you know what? We'll be right here for it, laughing, cheering, refreshing timelines, and pretending to understand stock charts, because apparently being an army requires basic knowledge of financial markets now. One thing is certain, BTS didn't just break records, they built a universe. And whether you came for the wealth ranking or stayed for the stories, remember, this is only one chapter in an era that's still being written. The legacy continues, the music waits, the world watches. And the best part? The best is still ahead.